Can you say hard hats, folks? Hard hats, lunch pails, steel-toe boots?
Anything short of a championship this year is a failure. Look at this boomer right here.
You've just got so much talent here.
Somebody said we need to apologize for Jalen.
Can I close it, John? What are we apologizing for? What did we say? What did we do?
What's going on? Good mix, Jackson. Good mix. John Zannis here. Sherrod Blakely behind the scenes. We've got Bobby, Noah, and Ahmed at the Garden. Jackson Tolliver. Get it down. Jackson Tolliver holding it down behind the scenes. And all you fine people here in the chat, watching, hanging out, talking. And what? Right out of the gate, catching a stray. I didn't do a thing. Lazy John better be on.
Damn.
Yikes.
Damn, John. We're not even like 2 minutes into the damn show.
What did I do? My goodness.
Damn.
My goodness. What's up? Welcome back, everybody. Yeah, I miss a gamer. Load managed myself on Wednesday. I watched the whole game. I was around. I did stuff. But, you know, sometimes the show needs not me. Maybe it needs it more often than but also, you know, long week, 4-game week. We've got a lot going on here. Jimmy's off the next 2 nights. Sherrod is here. So here we are. And yeah, I forgot Nick. Nick could be on the show if he wanted. He just wants to sit here and troll us in the chat. That's cool. That's cool. Lead by example, buddy. But yeah, we're here. And we're back, and it's a fun win. It's a good win against a good team who a lot of people tried to write off. And you got a good taste here. And I know Celtics fans will say, Sherrod, well, you did it without KP. And they did. And that's fine. That's relevant. It's part of the story. Buck's got Middleton back. Wouldn't you know it? First friggin' thing he does is make a 4-point play.
You kidding me?
It is what it is. But it was a fun game. You know what I liked? I mean, and again, a lot of people will say it. People are telling me my mic is messed up. What? Anyone having a problem with that?
It's not good on this end.
Huh. Okay. If this problem persists, please let me know. Best thing about it is you don't play your best game. You're without a good player. Your shots don't fall. And you still win. And like one of those gutty wins. We're almost done saying at this point, like, oh, this is a game they lose 2 years ago. We've done that already, right? Like we've done, but this is a game that, you know, this is the opposite of what you normally get here. They're down 99-95, and they close it on a 16-6 run over the last 6:05 to win the game. By good defense, finding the right guy, not resorting to iso ball, which we love, and playing the right way. Let's listen to Joe Mazzulla real quick while I fiddle with my mic a little.
Had a 0 for 12 from three-quarter. You guys had different kind of challenges along the way. The game never really got too far away from you. How were you guys able to keep it close throughout those kind of periods of things not going your way, and then how did you manage to pull it away?
Our defense. I thought our defense was tremendous throughout the entire game. Usually when you have
I would agree.
You know, not really empty possessions. Usually when you go through, lulls offensively, at some point your defense cracks, and I thought tonight it didn't. Mainly because I thought we got great shots almost the entire game. We made the right read. When we got to our spacing, moved the ball. Anytime you kind of see the numbers from Jrue and from Al and from those guys, it just shows that we're breaking down the layers of the defense. Of their defense. So I thought our defense kept us in it, and I thought we continued to fight for great looks throughout the night.
How do you keep the defense from cracking? Because it has in the past. We've seen it. How do you get past that and stick with it the way you did?
The guys communicated. I think the guys trusted each other. Guys had a level of physicality. But really it's about, in those moments, not putting guys to the free throw line, not giving up offensive rebounds, not getting out in transition, keeping it 5-on-5. And then it just allows you to battle. So I thought the guys they just battled through it together.
Joe, you talk a lot about manipulating the environment and things like that. When Jalen kind of gets into it with Giannis there, picks up Lillard full court. Like, what are you guys feeling? What are you feeling along the sideline when you see that?
Yeah, just that right there. Just using whether it's our opponents, using the refs, using the fans, using people near you to just manipulate that. So I thought that was great. I thought the elbow to the face kind of unlocked Jalen a little bit. I thought the technical was tremendous by Jalen, and I thought from there on in, it just brought out an edge in us, and we were able to feed off that. So just thankful for all those things that kind of brought the edge out of us.
This is another full first quarter for Jalen. Jason's on the ball to close the game. How have those two kind of managed rotations and ball time and, different sub patterns, things like that this year?
Yeah, I mean, they manage it by, it doesn't matter. I mean, at the end of the day, they're going to be out there and it's
they managed it by shut up, Bobby.
With their flexibility, and you don't want to be tied down to, I have to do this in order to be good, or I have to do that. They're just kind of like,
damn it, Bobby,
do to win and what makes the most sense. And when it's my time, we're going to execute, whether that's offensively or defensively. So they're both very open-minded to the process of winning, and they'll do what it takes, and it's a credit to them.
Joe, it feels like everyone on the roster is very capable of excelling in multiple areas. Like Jayson, obviously a great scorer, but then he'll have these passes when they double him, or Sam Hauser leveraging his threes into shots inside the arc. How important is that, especially in a night like tonight where the results aren't necessarily matching the process, like in that second quarter with the threes?
Yeah, I mean, as long as we have the process, the results will take care of themselves.
So we got a couple of super chats up here.
Into what we're trying to accomplish. When we stick to that, nothing else matters.
GMs
So the guys do a tremendous job of trusting each other through that, and it's going to happen. So, it's a credit to them defensively to be able to withstand the offensive lull and then in the second quarter against a tremendous team, and it just says a lot about the guys.
Joe, you get Jrue Holiday back tonight after missing the last 2 games. What does his presence do for you guys, specifically on the defensive end?
I would say both ends of the floor. You got to think tonight he had some catches in the paint in the second half that drew 2 or got us layups because of his creativity. So we can change matchups. So tonight he guarded almost all 5 guys, and so he started on Andre Jackson tonight, moved to Giannis a little bit, was on Chris Middleton low. So just his versatility and the ability to change our defenses a little bit with him is huge. His communication. And then offensively, he can just make plays, and he's gotten really good at finding ways to get his matchup to put 2 on the ball so he can create for others.
End of the game, it seemed like you guys were focusing on getting that Lopez onto Tatum matchup. And I think in the past, maybe you would have used that as an opportunity to take a step back and try to get separation, but it seemed he was very determined to drive and kick. What were you guys looking for as far as what kind of drive and kick opportunities that was, and how has that evolved over the last few years?
Well, in the first half, they showed what their coverage was going to be and what their adjustment was going to be when Lopez got to the perimeter, and so we just kind of leveraged that, and to get the best shot in halftime, we saw what the spacing was, and it was just, hey, when you have one of the best rim protectors away from the rim, here's what's available, and here's who's going to overhelp, and here's what we can get. And so the guys did a tremendous job just kind of executing the offensive coverages and the game plan, and it takes the spacing and it takes the reads to be able to do it, so they did a good job of it.
Joe, how much does kind of chaos and physicality fight complacency in
chaos
that obviously are pretty long? Is that part of what you want to see, where
we like chaos
in order to try to re-engage?
If you're asked, I think that is a tool, but I wouldn't consider as what we did tonight complacent or trying to. I thought we were engaged the entire time. And I thought our defense showed that. But even when you are engaged, there's still moments when you want to manipulate the environment. And so I thought they took advantage of that.
Thank you, Joe.
Thanks.
All right, that removes Joe Mazzulla from the mix, and I agree. It doesn't matter, but it is a departure. It was interesting because you went Tatum. This isn't the story of the game. It's just an interesting nugget. Tatum got the rest, went back to the old sub patterns of him going out early and Jalen carrying it. And I wonder how that's going to go. And if they're trying to match up, it wasn't tonight because Porzingis doesn't play, but if they're trying to match up Brown and Porzingis minutes, later and get into those sub patterns, if that's the shift, if that's going to happen, we'll see. But, interesting. I think Joe's doing a masterful job with his rotation and how it works right now. Cornet has a big game the other day. He doesn't play today. It's more of a Kata game. Tomorrow it's going to be maybe a KP and a Luke. Who knows? But I think it's all going I think he's doing a really, really good job kind of figuring out, the combinations and the patterns here. So, I know Bobby asked a question. I was poking fun a little bit, but I actually don't think it matters. And I think it's a testament to how well Jalen is playing, that you're not like as worried on those non-Tatum minutes as other times. Cause I thought he was excellent in the first quarter. He was like tone setting.
Absolutely. And jumping back on the comments about Joe, the thing that he's doing, I think, a really good job this year, better than he certainly did last year, I think, is just keeping opponents guessing as to what the hell he's going to do. He's become extreme. Joe, there's always been a certain unpredictability about him, but even more so now with the way he's using different combinations and lineups. And that teams understand that you really don't know what you're getting out of the Celtics. Because if you're Milwaukee and you're getting back on that plane, you're thinking, we got a 30-piece from Giannis. We got a 30-piece from Dame. We got damn near the greatest rebounding performance by an opponent ever in Bobby Portis, and we lose. Peyton Pritchard gives them nothing. He's been the flamethrower that has absolutely torched us game after game after game. And Derek White does very little, in the grand scheme of things, and they still beat us. I mean, I don't know how Milwaukee – and, oh, by the way, we got swept the freaking season series. I don't know how Doc is going to spin this one, because Doc is one of the greatest at finding ways to, make it not look as bad as it is. But you got swept by a team, and the last time in this last game, you played your game. This is exactly – if you're listening to the broadcast, and John, I know you were, there were so many possessions that the Celtics were down to 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 seconds because Milwaukee's defense did not allow them to get those quick in-rhythm shots earlier in the shot clock. This was a really, really kind of gritty, grimy, grind-out type of game for the Celtics. And it was the kind of game Milwaukee should have felt good about, and yet they still came up short.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. That's and again, this is the thing that Celtics fans can take solace in, and the rest of the league can either choose to ignore or recognize and lament that. And we've said it a bunch. You can have nights where you're sitting a guy, as you did tonight, Porzingis, and have 3 out of 6 of your top remaining players have legitimately brutal games, shoot horribly from 3 and win a game. And no team can do that. Most teams, if you do all of that, you shoot 30% from 3, you're missing your, one of your top 3 players, and 2 of your other rotation guys give you nothing. You lose that game by 30 points. That's how it is for most teams. The Celtics win the majority of those games. That's what's crazy, So, I mean, even all of their losses, they're like single possession losses. They're 4 losses, and they were leading with 4 minutes to play in every single one of them. It's literally, I mean, you've got Dallas game 4. Dallas game 4 and the Clippers game last year of non-competitive games that come to mind. But it's almost impossible to not be in a battle with these guys, even if they're, playing not their best game. It's the Celtics matched them. You got your Lillard and you got your Giannis games. I mean, to an extent. And Brown and Tatum were outstanding. And then everybody else did their part. Hauser wakes up. He starts hitting his threes. He gets some decent contributions with Queta. But when it comes down to it, if you're going to go star for star, as so many people do, the ESPN model of let's make this all about the stars, fine, let's do that. Jayson Tatum was the biggest star on the floor tonight. I don't think it's particularly close. He was easily the best player. And this, to me, is the top 2. I hate saying this because then something's going to come to mind and be like, shit, I forgot that one. This is as good a game as he's played this year. Top 2 or 3 game for sure, because it was near perfect, particularly that fourth quarter when he ups the defensive intensity. He's switching on. He's picking up Dame. I loved how Jalen was hounding him a little bit too. But he's doing everything. He had to body Giannis this game. He took his medicine. He took his lumps. He fouled him when he had to. He stayed competitive, but he made the right read almost every single time with the ball. It was an extremely impressive Jayson Tatum game.
Yeah, and once again, Jayson was giving you a little bit of everything in every category that mattered, and that's the thing about his game that I think has been the most notable evolution of his game is the fact that he has the ability to impact the game in a multitude of areas and is showing a level of consistency in doing that that we have not seen in past years. I mean, that's why. I mean, at this point, he's one of those guys that's going to be, when you talk about the top 5, top 6, top 7 players in the league, he's going to be in that conversation year in and year out because he keeps getting better year in, year out, and his team keeps winning year in and year out. And this was just, again, another one of those games where Tatum, most guys, this is like one of the best games that you're ever going to have in your life. And this is basically Friday night for Jayson Tatum. He puts up these kind of games with a level of consistency. And I think this was maybe one of his most complete games. But in terms of what he was able to do from an offensive standpoint, I thought this was pretty average for him. And that's the thing that's, people are going to gravitate towards. I thought his defense was really good, though. I thought just the switching and then just the way that he was able to kind of really to me, the ability to go from defending Dame Lillard to Giannis is a major stretch. And I thought he did a decent job of not getting his ass kicked on either one of those fronts.
Yeah. And again, as you said, a complete game and doing all the right things and some very key passes late when they needed buckets. And they didn't get down when they weren't shooting well, just kind of kept, stay the course and the process. And you could do what they do sometimes and just hunt matchups all game long. And I don't think they necessarily did that. I think Milwaukee played a lot more ISO ball than the Celtics played in this game. And that's their style. It's my ball, your ball. That's how they're built between Lillard and Giannis. And the Celtics don't do that or haven't been doing that. And I'm glad that they didn't rely on that. And I think 2 or 3 of Tatum's passes in that, in closing out the fourth there, even ones that didn't result in buckets were absolutely critical. And part of the reason they won is they ran a good, competent offense with him as the key cog there late. Holiday stepped up, which was great. Everyone loves shoveling dirt onto his grave. I had somebody comment to me the other day about Holiday that like it's already begun. Like this is the beginning of the end of the entire Celtics dynasty. Holiday is the one that's going to unravel it all. And man, people are quick to jump off of that.
Well,
but he played great. I liked seeing that tonight as well. But Tatum and Brown were certainly the tone setters here. I thought Brown particularly early, and I love that little exchange with Giannis. I like it. I like it. I like getting in the mix there, and I'm not going to take whatever, and they talked about the I don't know if it was too small or the pointing at him. He just didn't like it. He didn't like what Giannis was serving up, and he let him know it.
Yeah, and the thing about it, you need someone like that. Every team that is about anything has 1 or 2 or 5 guys like that, and then Jaylen, he's it. And they need that from time to time, not just to be something that stays within the locker room or is among the guys, but you need to do that in the game. You need to let these teams know that they can't come and punk you. And Giannis is one of the best players in the league at punking guys because he's so damn strong. He comes with so much force that, even when you try to brace for that stuff, he still knocks you on your ass. And Jaylen's not trying to hear that. And he should feel that way. I mean, Jaylen is a hell of a player in his own right. And we've seen the last couple of games, he had the $25,000 fine for the throat gesture. He's got, going back with Giannis a little bit today. I like the edgy Jaylen. I like this guy a lot because they don't have anyone that's filling that void that exists. And the earlier point about Jrue Holiday, the thing about Jrue Holiday that I think it's hard for people to embrace the fact that he's just going to show up for big games. He's going to play pretty okay for most of the season, but for the big games, he's going to be that guy. And this was a big game. Former team, they needed some shots down the stretch. They needed big plays to be made, and he didn't have a great game in its totality. But when the game mattered most, he came through with big plays, both ends of the floor.
He did, and I love it. I love him for it. I mean, somebody mistakenly just labeled me as a Holiday hater. That's insane. Yeah.
They hate you, John. They hate you.
No, man. I mean, again, anyone who's watched this knows that I've been on the Holiday train for 4 years trying to get him, trying to get him here. I couldn't be more thrilled when they got him. But anyway, yeah, that's great. Holiday's up at the podium. Let's hear a little from him.
At any point, so I think our defense held it down for us today.
Not me.
Jrue, it looked like you showed your emotions.
It just
a little
defaults
more
to that.
and
Can't do it.
that kind of coincided with how physical the game was. Can you speak to kind of the
The
aggressiveness
floater.
on both sides of the game?
Yeah, I think the refs kind of let us play. I think just the history between the two teams and it coming down to a tight game like that. Both teams are competitors, so when it comes down to it, we want to win the game just as much as anyone else. But I think sometimes games are going to get chippy, and honestly, I think us as players, we like it.
Jrue, it feels like everyone on this team is very capable of excelling in multiple areas. Like they chase Sam off the three-point line.
He really
steps
hates
in, he's gonna
JB.
shot. Derek doesn't have the best shooting night. He gets 3 steals. How important is it to have a group of guys who are so able to be so good in so many areas on the court?
Yeah, I think versatile players is something that we have, and at every position, everywhere. You see Neem out there guarding point guard. You see, like you said, Derek making plays if his shot isn't falling. Peyton wasn't on today. He's been on for the last 2 months. So at any given time, I think people step up, and it's just about trust. I think we trust each other, knowing that if my shot isn't falling or something like that, I can do more to affect the game.
Jrue, the play when you basically made sure Giannis was not going to get that shot up, like late in the fourth quarter, and you just kind of walked away. It seemed like that type of physical game. They want what you have, right? They're trying to chase what you have. What's that like to play? You played them 3 times now in the last month. What's that like, that intensity, knowing they're trying to get to your level, they want what you have, and they're trying to push you?
I mean, appreciating pushing us. I think that that's what makes the game fun. I think that's kind of why, or what battle test us for the future. Obviously, I'd rather Giannis go to the free throw line, and he's pretty strong, so I don't want him to get a shot up. But I think for the most part, man, just being a competitor, just knowing that each game or even a game like this, we want to win the game no matter what it takes, especially being at home in Boston. So took this game for what it is, and then we move on to the next one tomorrow.
Jrue, late in the fourth quarter, a lot of the offense was JT trying to get past Brooks to make those kickouts. I feel like a lot of the time in the past, when somebody would get an isolation or like an isolation opportunity, it would be more for like an isolation shot. How have you guys kind of focused on using those cross matches late in games to open up those driving kicks?
Yeah, obviously JT and JB, but particularly tonight, JT in that fourth. I mean, nobody can guard him in the league. He's a tough guard. So obviously having Brook out on him and him driving, he pretty much knows, like, if I don't get by him, somebody's going to be open because they'll have to help. So JT, credit to him, just making plays for other people, trusting other people. You saw the kickouts that he had, and he had faith in his teammates. So that's what the best players do.
Jrue, we talk a ton about your relationship with your former teammates, but at the opening tip, Brooke is kind of like playing around with you, all of that stuff. Can you just explain the mental process of like that kind of fun moment, and then lock in, battle, just do whatever you need to take to win, and then afterwards back to, hey, love you, brother type of thing. How do you mentally just compartmentalize all of that?
Just want to win. In between those lines, from when it's tip off to the buzzer, I want to win. So I love him, it's great seeing them, but every time I play them, and probably even more so because they like my brothers, I want to whoop their ass every time. So, and they know that too. They feel the same way about me, and I think it's just about being competitors. But
absolutely, speak that truth.
To be able to switch it on and off, I don't know. It's just like, hey, bro, good to see you. And then once the game starts, it's like,
trying to whip that ass. Absolutely, hell yeah.
Jrue, just the way you guys were shooting tonight, and I mean the first time all year that you haven't hit a 3 in the second quarter, How do you maintain the fight to continue to get good shots and maintain a confidence, in those moments?
I think it's just about being consistent and persistent. I think we got a lot of good shots. Even in that second quarter, I think we got a lot of good shots that we liked and just didn't see it go in. And then at that point, you figure at some point the shots are going to fall. You might hit a big shot here or there. Al had a huge three toward the end of the game, but you just kind of do what you're supposed to do. Do what's best for your team and best for the game, and you feel like everything will work out.
It's clear how much you want to win, but how much does Al Horford want to win?
Man, I mean, he's the OG. He's the one who's been doing it the longest. He's the one who holds us together, and I think being able to play next to him and see his intensity and him get riled up during the game, it brings everybody else along. So when Al speaks or you see him get emotional like that, it must be serious. But love to be out there with him.
Mike, John, I think you're muted. Can't hear you. Okay, I got you. No, Jrue, lots of good stuff there from Jrue Holiday. The thing that really impressed me with what he had to say was when he started talking about playing against, guys that you're familiar with, guys that are brothers, and how, that's family, but you still want to whip that ass. You still want to beat them. In fact, it tends to make you even more riled up and more fired up, increases your intensity level even more so because you know that it becomes a little bit more personal. And I love when Jrue Holiday gets in that mode because he is that type of player. This is a guy that, again, he's won multiple titles with different teams. He's got Olympic gold medals. He's doing all those things that you absolutely want one of your core guys to do. And the thing that impresses me really the most about Jrue Holiday is more times than not, in the big games, in the big moments, that's when Jrue Holiday seems to be at his best. And this was just another example of that floater that he hit. The way that he was defending, I thought late in the game versus earlier in the game. His ability to do all those type of things are why Jrue Holiday is such an integral part of this team and why the Celtics did not hesitate to cut the check when it came to paying him and keeping him around for an extended period of time. That's the kind of stuff that you really have to take notice of when you're talking about a guy like Jrue Holiday, because, again, his impact on this team, particularly in those big moments, is absolutely immeasurable and just such a central piece to what this team is about, particularly when you're talking about trying to win another chip. Hey, John, my man.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can. We're just having our little Jrue Holiday love fest.
Why not? So real quick, speaking of the Holiday thing, they don't hate people. He doesn't hate his team. Management is the one who said we're better off with that guy.
Right.
You want to prove to those guys upstairs. Anybody who's a longtime Red Sox fan remembers when Roger Clemens was shipped out in the twilight of his career, his first start back at Fenway Park, he strikes out, 15, 16 Red Sox, and on his way to the dugout, he's looking up at the GM box on his way out, staring up at Duquette. Yeah, what's up, buddy?
How you doing?
That's who it's at. Okay, and I mean, Holiday has the ultimate mic drop. He won a title. So,
right.
And there's really nothing, you don't need to hang on to it forever if you're him. But hey, it's still in the back of his mind. I want to show you what you did. And I don't think anybody, look, everyone, it was a resounding, obvious slam dunk, situation that benefited the Celtics. Celtics were never getting game. But by the Bucks getting game, it facilitated Holiday to Boston and resulted in a title. And that's just how it's going to go. It still might have been the Bucks might have been better for having done it, but maybe they didn't think it all the way through.
No.
If they knew ultimately, if it's a 3-team deal with Holiday going to the Celtics, they don't do it. They don't do that. but they still might do it anyway because they might have thought, I need that guy. Middleton's going down. I need the secondary scorer. Holiday's not a number 2 scoring option, right? So it's not as resounding as they think. The only reason it seems so ridiculously lopsided is because Holiday ended up here for seemingly not a huge haul, and so it's, again, the Celtics, and again, the rest of the league looks at it and we laugh about it. I mean, you got Porzingis and Smart first. I mean, Porzingis and Holiday for a song, like it's just free all-star caliber players that, it obviously resulted in them winning the title. So I don't think it's as haha Bucks, you screwed up bad as people make it out to, because Dame's a damn good player. Dame is a crazy shot maker. When the Celtics went ice cold there in the second quarter, Sherrod, like that's you saw, what having someone like Dame on the team, the difference it makes. He's just an elite shot maker, and he made some tough shots. He made tough shots. He's a tough guy there. He still got it.
Yeah. The one thing that really impresses me about Dame, and it always has impressed me, is his footwork doesn't get enough credit. And I'm not talking about just beating guys off the dribble. He's able to just position himself by just great ball movement, footwork to create space. I mean, he's basically 6'1", 6'2" shooting guard. And you don't really see a lot of guys block his shot or, frankly, be in position to contest because he's so great at creating space. And the only big concern about him, and it's really manifests itself, I think, a lot, is that as great a player he is at hunting down shots, teams are pretty good about hunting him down as a defender. And it just never fails. Teams are going to go at him. And that's the one thing that Milwaukee hasn't really quite figured out how to manage that. I think Dame I think he works a little bit harder defensively now than I think he did when he was in Portland, but the results aren't all that much better. He's still the one guy that teams will pick on. He's still the one guy that, when the team is desperate to get a basket, they're trying to run some pick and roll action to get him matched up with a guy like Tatum or a guy like Jalen. And Milwaukee, that's to me, that's the price you pay for having an incredibly dynamic scorer who, like all of us, has flaws. And his biggest flaw is he just can't defend. I don't think it's necessarily he doesn't want to. I just don't think he can do it.
No, it's not. And that's going to be an issue there. And the Bucks have some bench issues as well with the supporting cast. And then they've also just got some spacing issues in terms of their shooting. When you've got like Andre Jackson, who I loved and I actually really liked for the Celtics, just because, he's a super athletic guy and an energy guy. But with him and Giannis in your starting lineup, you're just really, struggling to stretch the floor. And you've got Lopez, who's going to step out and hit threes, but depending on where he's playing, you've just got Jackson's a guy you can literally play 15 feet off of, and you can just put a help side defender on him and just float off him. And it's really not a great setup for them. It really forces them to just kind of go one-on-one there. They can't really move the ball. They can't get you in rotation because there's really no worry there that he's going to do anything. But he's a super athlete and I dig him. But yeah, they've definitely got some issues. And then you've got Dame, which, you can't really hide him defensively. And that's just going to be what it's going to be with him. So it's imperfect. And the Celtics, again, I guess, fans are incredibly spoiled because everybody can do everything for the most part on this team. And there's not really any, God, can't live with this guy out here for too long or X, Y, and Z. They're all able to defend their position. And, you see so many other teams that have guys that just can't. So we're going to get, I believe, Al Horford's talking. He's wrapping up at the podium. Bobby and Noah are going to jump on, and we're going to chat and hear from them in a little bit. We want to tell you guys about a couple of sponsors. And Sherrod missed this one the last time we were here, but boy, I know he's excited that HelloFresh is back.
Hey now.
With the Garden Report. And again, what is it? You know what it is. It's America's #1 meal kit, and it's that for a reason. Farm fresh, pre-portioned ingredients, seasonal recipes delivered right to your doorstep. Skip trips to the grocery store. Count on HelloFresh to make home cooking easy and fun, and this is a great time to get it. And that's why they always come back with us around this time, because nobody wants to make a big ass Thanksgiving meal and then just keep cooking and then do it all over again for Christmas. That's just a short window, especially with Thanksgiving being so late. So having something make it a little bit easier on you here is great. And that's what HelloFresh does. Just sends the food right to your door. And that's that. And you just get it done. And it's also, this is a great time you want to pre-diet. I think a lot of people try to get into their groove in January. I think this is the best time to tighten up, and you can get with HelloFresh fit and wholesome options, vegetarian, family friendly, quick and easy, but really healthy stuff. You can switch out your proteins and your vegetables, customize it to exactly your needs. And it's just, like I said, perfect for this time of year. So check it out. And right now, great promo running. You get a free breakfast for life when you sign up today. If you go to HelloFresh.com/free garden, that's one free breakfast item per box while your subscription is active. That's free breakfast for life just by going to HelloFresh.com/free garden. Again, it is America's #1 meal kit, and it is that for a reason. And you don't have to ask Sherrod what he ordered. He ordered the meatloaf. That's just what he does. We're also going to talk to you about Bilt Rewards here. And hold on, let me get this comment out of the screen. And again, I know what you're doing. You know what you're doing. You're spending a ton of money on rent. It is what it is. I'm here to help you out with that, okay? And you're going to be thankful that I told you about Bilt, which is a rewards program where you can earn here points towards things when you pay rent, which is what you should be doing because you got to pay it no matter what, right? So why not earn points while you're doing it? Bilt is aligned with 500 airlines, 700,000 hotels and properties around the world. You can redeem your Bilt points towards. They can be redeemed towards a future rent payment, unique experience that only Bilt members can access. So all you have to do is start earning points on rent you're already paying. You go to joinbilt.com/garden. That's JOINBILT.com/garden. Make sure to use that URL so they know that we sent you. Once again, joinbilt.com/garden. Start earning points on your rent payments today. All right, back at it, Sherrod. Where were we? Talking about the Bucks is flawed. I guess I'll ask you this, just about the Bucks in general. Everybody not only had written them off, was saying, fire Doc and all of that stuff with that start. Then they ripped off, 7-8 wins in a row. Mm. You watch them tonight. It's a competitive team. I don't think this is a team that you can absolutely that you're dismissing out of hand. And I think this is one of those teams that is always going to play you tough. They're not rolling over here, but I don't know that they're at the Celtics level.
They're not. I don't think they are. Because again, of all the points that we've raised, the fact is this was as good as we've seen the Bucks play all season. This was one of their better games. When you go down and start looking at the data that they were able to put up in this game, it's very favorable. They're going to beat a lot of teams, but the Celtics, and conversely, did not play anywhere close to their best game. Hell, they didn't have, as we pointed out, they don't have Porzingis. Pritchard was horrible, couldn't make shots. Derek White couldn't make shots. Tatum and Brown had a pretty average game. The only one who really played slightly above average was Hauser. And yet, despite all the things that didn't go the Celtics' way and all the things that went the way of Milwaukee, the Bucks still wound up losing. So, no, they're not. I would say that they are probably the third or fourth best team in the East. I think Boston and Cleveland have separated themselves from the rest of the pack, and Milwaukee is probably near the front, if not at the front of that next tier of teams in the Eastern Conference.
Are you a legitimate believer?
In the Bucks or the Celtics?
Cleveland believer. You said that you think they've separated themselves.
I believe they're the second best team in the East. I don't think I still think the Celtics are clearly the superior team. I just think that of the other teams in the East, Cleveland's the best of the bunch. Not just because of the record, but just because of the way the style of play that they have, their coaching. And the thing is, Donovan Mitchell has been just on a phenomenal tear. this season in terms of his leadership, in terms of, all the specific basketball things that he brings to the table. They're the number 2 team. Milwaukee, I see behind them. If you're the Celtics, the perfect storm will have those 2 teams play in the second round of the playoffs, because you could beat both, but it'd be nice to only have to beat one. So,
yeah, fair enough. Fair
what
enough.
about you? I mean, is Cleveland your number 2? I sense a little bit of skepticism there.
I actually, I'm leaning towards the Knicks, believe it or not.
Really?
Yeah, and I like how they're playing as well. And I think people really want to make decisions quickly on things. And I think they immediately were like, the trade's a bust for both teams. And no, Cat's playing really, really, really well for them. So I like the Knicks. I like the Knicks too. But I still think the Celtics have a decent separation over everybody so far. And again, I think we've seen enough to make a decent determination on it. But that's still where I'm leaning here. But nothing's going to be easy here. And I think you look out west, Oklahoma City, and again doing it without what's his name, the thin guy, tall thin guy,
Holmgren, Chet.
Jesus,
No
Chet.
Chet.
Without Chet, they are killing people. And I know Bobby's going to want to talk about this because I think this mattered a lot tonight. And Joe said it too. Celtics definitely won this game, I think, with defense. And that's encouraging because I know Bobby was saying, we were talking about it in our chat, that he's got these 2023 vibes with the Celtics about choosing when they're going to play defense, turning it on and turning it off a little bit this year. And I don't disagree with that. I just think, I don't know that I fault them for it, because if you know you're going to win, like, with 88% effort, 85% effort, do you have to go 100 balls to the wall? I'm not as worried about this team flipping the switch, because I think they understand when it's time for business, it's time for business. And I think this was one of those games where they just decided it's time for business. And maybe the shots aren't falling. We're going to lock it down a little bit here. And they did it.
Yeah, and this is, to me, it's what happens when you win a championship. You know exactly what you need to do to get back to that point. And one of the things that I don't think is a coincidence that the Celtics aren't beating the snot out of teams by 30, 40, 50 points like they were doing last year. Because last year I thought they just went hard every game, treated every game as if it was like it was a series clinching game, and just wanted to, like it was the Emirates NBA Cup where point differential mattered. And this year they're just like, well, we're better than these guys, but why give 95, 98% effort when we can beat them by 40, when we can give like 75 and beat them by 12? They're doing a much better job, I think, of managing their energy and their effort and their focus, because we alluded to it earlier. This team has lost 4 games by a total of 14 points. That's, I mean, to your point earlier, John, that's literally like 1 or 2 possessions a game have been the difference between these guys being undefeated and not.
Right.
Which is kind of scary, because they have been far from perfect, but they have been perfectly locked into what they need to do, and that is get to the postseason as healthy as possible. I think in their minds, that's the only thing that will keep them from repeating as champions.
Yeah, and I don't want to put words in Bobby's mouth, because I know he's going to want to talk about it, but that's why, like, I have a difficult time getting concerned with anything right now. Like a good game, a bad game, I just don't see like anything I'm seeing from this team at the quarter pole or a little bit beyond it at this point that makes you think that they're all set, like that they're bored and they're checked out. I still think they're very firmly. They seem to me pretty firmly locked in on. We still have it. Like the job's not done. They don't appear content to me. I had the benefit of the other night. Again, I lucked into some really good seats, and I was very close to the Celtics bench near the court. just watching how locked in they are in a game against Miami that meant nothing without Butler, that they were going to win easily, and they knew. They're dialed in. Joe's dialed in. The players are on top of it. The guys who are sitting on the bench are really jacked up and in it. Horford's like a second coach out there. He's going out and he's talking to refs in between, and he's not playing. Holiday there, Joe's taking it. They're all taking it super, super seriously. There's no letdown at all. I think it's awesome. From these guys right now, but I do like games like this. I gotta say, like, come on, NBA schedule makers, like that's it. The Bucks and the Celtics are done. It's December 6th. They're done playing each other. Do better. This season series can't be done.
Yeah, and particularly when you're talking about two teams that you
don't stack them all up this early.
Right. You anticipate these are going to be two of the last teams standing potentially in the Eastern Conference. And so you would want there to be a game in March, April, at the earliest February after the All-Star break. Because at that point, it's like, okay, I get it, maybe. But it's sad that we're not going to see these two teams go at each other again until the playoffs, if they match up with each other then. Because Milwaukee is going to get better. They're going to continue to get better, especially with Middleton back. He still is not in great basketball shape, which makes him like 99.9% of guys who miss significant time. They're not in great basketball shape when they return. But the thing that he has certainly picked up where he left off is making shots. I mean, first freaking buckets he gets is a 4-point play. That is not normal. But he's, again, really good player, but am I losing sleep over Chris Middleton being back in the mix for Milwaukee, that all of a sudden they're a different team and a bigger threat? I'm not. And I don't think anyone in the Eastern Conference, including the Celtics,
how do you guys kind of stay in it?
I'm going to throw on Tatum for a little bit here.
I think guys have a sense of awareness. Having been through it before, this group has, we've played in a lot of basketball games. We found a bunch of different ways to win, and we're a special team. We won a championship last year, and we understand the process of each night is going to look different, and we still need to play the right way, our way, regardless of if we're hitting shots tonight. We got to be ourselves.
We like to talk about, this was a playoff atmosphere, and I don't know how much of that you feel out there, but having gone through last year, winning a championship and a ton of playoff games, how does a game like this compare to that? And how, like you said, we've been through it. How does that compare? How does that allow you to kind of get through these games?
It wasn't a playoff game, but it was a special night. I've been here. This is my 8th year, and these nights, right, where you're playing a team that's really good with some special players, and the crowd is really involved, and guys are making plays, and you feeding off the energy of your teammates and of the crowd and the fans. And the amount of times that we've won games and moments like that, it's just like another special night at TD Garden that I've been a part of.
Jason,
he's not really biting here
tonight. And obviously missed the last 2 games. What does just having his presence out there do for you?
It does a lot. I think we compliment Jrue about being a Swiss Army knife, right? We put him on point guards, we put him on the big man. We have him set screens, we have him handle the ball, facilitate, we have him post guards up. We just have Jrue do a little bit of everything, and he's a big part of why we are who we are and why we're a special team.
You kept getting that Brook switch and driving past him for those kickouts in crunch time. I feel like in the past you might have used that as an opportunity to maybe get more to your step back or to swing it around the arc. What are you doing differently this year to be able to get past those guys when they're really trying to lock you up, and how does that open up the offense in crunch time?
Just learning from previous seasons, learning from previous games, understanding what they'll live with, and there are moments, right, I'm going to take a step back 3, or in rhythm. But knowing that, you get past your defender, more likely going to help. And,
Yeah, good
just
point,
about
Joseph.
making the right read and finding the open man, because we have so many guys that are threats, can space the floor. And, when you attack a closeout, as a defender, that's the hardest thing to do is, guard somebody off a closeout. So we have so many guys that can put the ball on the floor. We just try to put the defense in those situations where they're
I know, man.
closing out on really good players, and that's tough.
Jayson, what is your preparation, psychologically speaking, for these big moments in the final moments of the game? Because you just scored like 14 points and made every shot you took in the last quarter.
Can't wait to hear his answer to this one.
I say it a lot. It's our staff does a really good job of
leans in the staff file,
showing us film, or the days that we do have practice, putting us through reads of situational basketball and what the
I tried.
The staff does a great job of putting us in, situations and I love JT. He's consistent. I'll give him that.
Somebody said okay, fine.
We all have bought into that formula, and we stick with it.
Jayson, seemed like Deuce's birthday was like a national holiday or something. I'm curious, what do you remember from your 7th birthday, and what do you hope Deuce remembers from his?
I know I wasn't on the jumbotron at the Celtics game, but I think for me and him, it's special that we share these moments together. Deuce was born December 6, 2017. That was a month and a half into my rookie year. And it's crazy that, now he's 7 and how much time has passed. But it's been really special that we've grown up together here in Boston and shared a lot of cool moments and special moments here at the Garden. So, he was excited about the game today. He liked being on the jumbotron. So, it was a pretty cool moment for a 7-year-old.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, happy birthday, Deuce. Happy
Deuces! 7 years old.
If you want to read more about the family stuff, actually, Noah wrote something good. Noah and Bobby are going to be on in just a minute. Wrote something good for Celtics blog about the Celtics kind of making everything a family experience for, the players and, having their families. And it is pretty robust. I don't know how it compares to other NBA arenas here, but you definitely see, a solid presence there with people behind the scenes hanging out and stuff. I'm sure it's, similar. And you do see a lot of people bringing their kids to this stuff. Yeah. I think it's bad parenting, but that's just me. I'm just kidding. I get it. Yeah, that's way past his bedtime. Look, what kid gets to do that? It's
Deuce.
Deuce.
Deuce. No, it's I've found just in the past that teams that typically win at a high level, you see more of that stuff. When teams are, I can't even imagine what the family room must have looked like in Detroit when they'd won like 8 games all season. I mean, ghost town. Who the hell wants to be there? So when teams are winning, there's definitely a different vibe, and it's kind of cool. But at the end of the day, though, it's kind of like fast food. It goes in and goes right out. I don't care about that. I care more about, like, why the hell did Derek White not make a shot in this game, and why was Peyton Pritchard only got 3 shots up? I mean, it's kind of hard to score 16 points when you only take 3 shots all game. Those are kind of things that I personally care about. Deuce's birthday, it's nice. Yay, happy birthday, Deuce. Okay, now back to the game.
I was gonna save this. I was gonna save this for Noah. Because
All-Star Pritchard was not in the building tonight.
What happened here?
I think
it's the 3 field goal attempts, as you said, and he was struggling. He had a couple times. He was also a victim of being on the court during a time, and even though victim / a part of it, when they went crazy cold, and it wasn't just that they were missing shots. I think they were struggling to create quality looks there. It felt like almost every three was a late in the clock. This is all I can muster sort of heave. So there wasn't everything stagnated at that point. It was just all of it was bad, and he found himself a couple of situations where he was left with the ball in his hand late trying to force or muster something, but he wasn't getting clean looks. He wasn't getting off the dribble. I'm wondering if the Bucks took extra special care in making sure that he wasn't going to come in and light him up there in the second quarter.
Oh, hell yeah. I mean, he had no airspace in this game. I mean, it was clear that
he had nowhere to go.
No. And I don't blame him for not taking more shots because he really wasn't in position to do that. I mean, they made sure that they kept within arm's reach of him every single time he touched the ball in a game. And Peyton, to me, this is part of his evolution as a player. I mean, you went from a guy who wasn't playing a lot to a guy that now all of a sudden you're starting to get spot minutes. And now all of a sudden you are getting regular minutes and you're producing at a relatively high level. Now the next step for him is, how do I impact the game in a positive way if I'm not getting a bunch of shots up? And he still hasn't figured that out yet. And I'm not sure how he's going to figure that out. But that has to, if he's going to continue to grow as a player, that has to be his next step. What can I do to impact the game and don't involve scoring? You look at Jayson, you look at Jalen, you look at Al, you look at Derek White, you start going down the line of their starters. They all essentially have that capability. Peyton hasn't really shown that, in part because he hasn't been asked to show that. But certainly, this, to me, was one of those games that Peyton needs to go back, and the Celtics as a team, when you're looking at breaking down Peyton's role, you need to look at why was he so limited? And what can you do to help free him up more? Is it just a matter of just setting better screens? Is it a matter of him moving better without the ball? What is it that he has to do in order to make up for those nights when he doesn't get a bunch of shots up?
Flip side of that, if PP died so Hauser could live, Hauser, again, every time that's one of the best things about this team this year, or really any time, is as soon as you start to worry about a guy, then he does something and you're like, oh yeah, I'm not worried. So Hauser's one of those guys where it's like, oh shoot, shot's not falling. I'm worried. Like, should I be worried? This is bad. And it's not bad. And he's the same guy, but the quickness with, he gets that shot off so quickly on the catch and shoot. It's really become something, because he's always been a guy who can stripe it. But like, that's something that over the last, couple of seasons you see gone, instant. I mean, especially the high catch and release, which to me is unbelievable. To catch it here and just extend without bringing it down, without doing anything to set yourself up. He's just catching it here and bow. That is unbelievable how he does that. But also just him getting to the right spots and the spaces, I thought is an underrated aspect of it. Like, offensively, he's always where he needs to be. Just some nights they're finding him, some nights he's hitting them, some nights he's not. But I thought he played an outstanding game beyond the fact that he did hit 4 of 8 threes.
Yeah, absolutely. And they need Sam to kind of really get into a flow and get in a rhythm and have that 6, 7, 8 game stretch where he's killing it like he was tonight. And Sam is a hell of a shooter. But the thing about Sam Hauser that, and I find myself paying more attention to this because I'm seeing more often. There was a in the first half, there was a period where he was switched out on Dame Lillard, and Dame was doing everything he could to get past him and couldn't. He would just give him a little dribble drive to the left, nope. Dribble drive to the right, nope. And ultimately, Milwaukee wound up like missing a shot. And right on the ensuing possession, Sam, who, as we know, 3-point shooter, all of a sudden takes a dribble inside and throws his bank shot off the glass. And you're like, whoa, that's the kind of stuff that is going to keep him in the good graces of Joe Mazzulla. The ability to, even on games where he wasn't making shots, his defense for the most part was relatively solid. Now, we had a couple of moments in this game where he wasn't great, but overall, he's been pretty solid at that end of the floor. And if you shoot as well as he does, and you can be solid as a defender, you're going to play. There's absolutely no question about that. You are going to get minutes on this team.
Yeah, you are. I like the mustard reference, Matt. That's good stuff. Matthew's having a good night tonight in the chat. Bobby and Noah are setting up. I see the camera out there. Bobby's going to be with us in a split second. Real quick, we do need to mention, and again, you want to get in on the action here with Prize Picks. You should be following our man Mike Kadlick. He smashed it tonight. Kadlick, our fantasy gaming expert here at the Garden Report, nailed it with his picks on his more and less picks. If you're not already signed up here with Prize Picks, you should be. Number one fantasy daily fantasy app that you should get in on. All you have to do is sign up, download the app, CLNS. You see it right there. That's the promo code. And play 5, get 50 instantly. That's automatic. You don't have to win. You just have to play, and it's yours. It goes right into your account. Terrific time of year to get involved. You've got NBA, you've got NHL, you've got the NFL, and it's just a lot of fun. In addition to the offer you see on the screen, Taco Tuesday, Flex Friday, lots of different things that you can get in on. You pick more or less on at least 2 players. You can win up to 100 times your money. So again, sign up today, download the app, play 5, get 50 in your account just like that. It is that easy. Also want to tell you about Game Time. And again, another game tomorrow. You want to get to the Garden? You want to check out Marcus? This is the legit Marcus Smart reunion. You didn't get it last time. He didn't play. I was there. That was the worst lineup. This is the worst team I've ever seen play. Whatever Memphis put on the court last year against the Celtics. Go look at that starting lineup. I don't think any of them play professional basketball anymore. But tomorrow, Memphis is playing well, and you're going to get to see Marcus come back and do Marcus things. You want to talk about a revenge game? Oh, my goodness. Oh, my goodness. Does he want to show something here? Because he gave his heart and soul to this place, Sherrod, and they just went and won without him.
They're like, Marcus who? Who's that?
It's tough. But again, Game Time's great. It's great. You see it right here. Use that code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply. Download that Game Time app, create an account, use the code CLNS, $20 off your first purchase. I'm going to go look it up right now. I'm going to look up what we're looking for the Celtics in Memphis and see what tickets are going for. Grizzlies at Celtics. Oh, not bad. Not bad. You can get in there. You guys should get in there. Let me see what we got. I'm putting it on the screen. Right there. Worth it.
Oh, totally worth it.
Check it out. Good seats available. Get in there. Check out Marcus. Okay. Loj, what? Oh my goodness. I'm going to go get this one.
It's a great
Loj,
price.
Floor. Oh my goodness. This is worth it. Go check it out. Download it right now. Check it out. There's some good. Get to this game. This is a good one. There's some decent deals here. Check it out. Go check out Marcus and the Celtics. Should be a lot of fun. Bobby and Noah are just about ready to go. I'm going to stop sharing here. I'm going to bring us up full. And guys, what do you think? You want to join us? Ta-da. Hello.
Whoa.
How about that?
There we go.
All right.
Hi, guys.
Well, what's going on?
Tell us in 30 seconds or less what you thought about this game.
Ooh, physical. Love the physicality in this one. Both sides came away from it liking, despite what you saw on the floor from the coaches, how this game was called fairly evenly, and both teams allowed to play with a ton of physicality, body smashing everywhere. You had to deal with Giannis, which is always going to be its physical test. And the Celtics trailed throughout this one, mostly off, giving up shots around the basket and inside the arc. Like, the Bucks didn't shoot many threes in this game. They hit a lot of the ones they did. But the Celtics got cold there, especially in that second quarter, and ended up being a back-and-forth game, 1-2 possession game throughout, and they just executed. And it was another strong Tatum game in that sense. Even though he didn't play the full first, even though he didn't have it going there in the second either, so many great plays, passes from him, the bounce passes in the pocket, the late ones, even the one Horford didn't make there. I love that play with Giannis sneaking inside. So this was another well-managed game by him. You had the Brown stretch to start it, so you got the best of both worlds there. Tatum closing it, Brown starting this one, and then some good role contributions throughout as well. Hauser was awesome, and I thought Al played a strong game. Big minutes for him too, playoff kind of minutes. So this one did have a bit of a playoff feel to it.
Yeah, I thought this was probably the most exciting game of the season. Maybe their best win. Maybe I'm missing one, but it feels like it's up there as far as quality wins, because the shot was off, because they weren't just getting hot from three, and that's kind of what was carrying them. And Joe said he thought the defense was tremendous throughout the game. It really did stand out that they never let it get away from them. It was literally a 3-point game, a 5-point game at worst, despite the fact that they really were missing layups, missing three-pointers. So from that standpoint, I thought it was very impressive. It was also that kind of game where you just remember all the overreactions. Jrue Holiday and Sam Hauser both stood out to me, as guys that at moments this season people have been concerned about, and both of them put together, two of the strongest performances of the night. And I thought Jrue was tremendous on both ends. Obviously down the stretch, hit the floater that kind of iced the game. But he won't say, he said it a little bit post game that playing against his former team, he loves those guys. They're like his brothers. But I thought that he had an extra edge to him that maybe we haven't seen every single game this season, but he definitely had it tonight. And then Sam Hauser, I think he finished with 16, but every basket was huge, especially in the third quarter, in the second half. He really helped them, keep it going. So to me, it's just a reminder that sometimes the guys that were struggling at points, like they are who they are. They've signed the big deals that they've signed because they're proven, and tonight they both delivered, both of those guys.
And Jalen, John, the guy doesn't give an F anymore.
Oh yeah,
he'll say whatever he thinks. He'll do whatever he wants to do on the floor. Like a couple games ago, he's like, yeah, we're just shooting too many threes, so someone's got to go downhill. I'm going to do it. And then this one, doing the too small to Giannis, drawing at him at half court, full court press on Wood. I mean,
love it.
Like, this guy brings a completely different dynamic that they don't have anywhere else on the roster, and he's just heightened it this year. Last year, I think, is the first time he started to act like this, and now this year, he's completely embracing whatever you want to call it, his villain side or just the IDGAF. Like, it's awesome to watch, and it added some moments to this game. Like you guys saw, Joe lit right up when I asked about it, because that was a Joe kind of moment when he got into it with Giannis there, and obviously that goes back to the last game. There's something there. Amit just went downstairs to get Giannis's reaction to it. I'm interested to hear what he had to say about it, because Jalen didn't talk tonight.
So this live shot is unmanned?
Unmanned.
So you better pray for us here.
Oh my God!
I was gonna say, did you guys catch they were playing Jaylen Brown's song pregame, the "Just Do It" song, the Nike song?
I heard
they were playing
on Twitter.
in warm-ups, yeah. And I all of a sudden was like, why do I know this song? I never know the songs that they were playing, and I was like, oh, this is Jaylen Brown's song. And then I realized it's a Bucks thing because of Giannis. Because you remember that Nike tweeted like some passive-aggressive thing at Jaylen after Giannis went off, saying like not so childish now.
Yeah.
So yeah, the Celtics were in on it. They had Jalen's song playing as they went onto the floor. So it's spreading his kind of mentality here.
It was also Deuce's birthday, if you didn't know, John.
I did.
Oh yeah.
I love kids. We were talking. The thing Noah said, we talked about that a bit. That's why I like this game a lot too, Noah. Is that the shot wasn't falling. You're without Kristaps Porzingis. 2 out of your 6 rotation players, including your guy Pritchard, cold as hell, and you still. That's not a troll. This just is what it is. And you still found a way to win, and you did it. And Bobby, I referenced something you were saying on our kind of text thread. Like, you did it with defense. That 16-6 stretch there down the last 6:05 that they took the game away. They're trailing 99-95, and they go 16-6 run rest of the way. When they decided to play defense, they played defense. And Bobby, I know your question was, does this have 2023 vibes, this team, where like they're selectively choosing when they're going to bring full defensive intensity and effort? And I disagreed with you a little. I'm not super concerned.
Yeah, I'm not quite to 2023 level, but there's shades of it.
So I get it. I would actually be I like it, and we saw it so much last year. I think I'd actually be stunned. I'm not just giving them the benefit of the doubt here. I think I'd be stunned if they went out there and played, just 105% every single night, picking up guys 94 feet, slapping the floor and getting into it. I do think you need games like these, opponents like these, the Giannis Jalen thing, Jrue Holiday and his old team, and stuff like that to kind of remind you and get your blood going again and remind you that this meant the Golden State games are great. Cleveland's been good so far. And when you see them bring it in those games, you kind of, that to me is an acknowledgement that yeah, they know when they need to turn it on, but they also know I can show up and kind of coast and win a lot of these games. And you don't love to see it, but what do you expect? I don't know that I would expect that much different from them.
I mean, I think it's human nature. If it wasn't human nature and if there were teams that got away from it, we'd have teams that were 75-7 by now. There's a reason why nobody's ever put together that kind of winning season, because even the best teams, they have those nights. But the fewer and far between, like we talked about that Atlanta game, was that going to be the beginning of a slide or was that going to be a one-off? And
they don't
think
slide.
those types of, they really don't. That's been the kind of hallmark characteristic
For the
these
last
past 2
2
seasons.
years. Yeah, it's crazy, and that's why you never get concerned, and that's why people are like, John, why aren't you as angry as you normally are? Because anything I was angry about in the past, I actually felt was habitual. This is a problem this team has. This is an issue. There's no issues with this team. They just sometimes don't have great games, or as Noah said, there's sometimes human nature. But it was nice to see them kind of really get up and fight back. I loved all of the Jalen stuff. I loved how they played defense. I loved seeing Tatum have to body Giannis on a few possessions and do his best to do that, and then also switch on to Dame and give a really good effort there defensively on him as well. It just shows the overall versatility that they have. And then just clutch plays late. They didn't devolve. I mean, it's almost tired to say at this point, but they didn't devolve into ISO stuff.
You know what play I'm thinking of, John?
They ran their game. Tatum's great passes down the stretch, finding open guys. Holiday for that floater, which was
that was a huge play. Because weren't you thinking, John, he was going to pull up right over Lopez when he was dancing around?
And then I guess, but he wasn't really doing that all game. He didn't force the issue at all today. I thought he made the
he went inside
almost every time. I thought he really, really, really made really sound decisions almost every time he had the ball all night.
This was one of those games too where I looked up and I was like, "Whoa, he has 32," because he was so cold in the second. Everyone was.
Fourth quarter was an almost perfect game
Tatum
from
was
Tatum.
7 of 8 in the second half.
Yeah, crazy, great dunk. Through Giannis there on the goaltend, and he brought it inside. You had the sense that the driving lanes were there, the Bucks were going to collapse, and there were kickouts all game, whether Horford or whoever else there, and obviously Holiday on that play too. And it was a good clutch win, John. They haven't been amazing in crunch time this year. You had the Cleveland loss and the Indiana overtime game and a couple other spots where they've faltered late. So this was a good one. Obviously Atlanta too, the infamous one. So this, a physical game, a frustrating game when it came to Giannis and some of the calls and all that. But they managed well through it, and then, like you said, the great finish to the game on both ends was awesome.
And I feel like the Tatum's pivot where he had a few of those maybe deep heaves that people don't love to see at the end of games, but really last year in the playoffs, I felt like was a turning point in his mentality down the stretch because he made so many big passes. That's when I think of the 2024 playoff run, the highlight plays are the pass to Al Horford for 3, the pass to Derek White, so many driving kicks that Jayson and Jalen are both involved in, and you wondered if that was going to carry over to the season. I think we're seeing some of those habits that they started forming then, come into play, and they're almost like second nature now. But it really is. It's so much better. I mean, I know CLNS did a poll of who do you want the last shot to be, and the answer is just don't force the basket. Find the open person. And I think tonight was a perfect example. It's I don't care if it's Derek taking that floater or Jrue or Jalen or whoever it is, but just not that shot that we've gotten so sick of seeing over the years.
To cross sports reference it, I mean, that was the hallmark of great Patriots teams with Tom Brady was the best receiver was the open receiver. And that's what they could do is you could scheme up so many different things. And if you were running your offense the way you were with that level of efficiency and you had Brady back there, he's just going to find the right matchup and the right guy. That's where the Celtics are at their best now because they have so much depth and so many people who can score in so many different ways that's why I think the only thing that ever gets frustrating to me about these Celtics isn't sure, sometimes maybe it's not 100% defensive intensity, but it's when they do stuff they know is bad, just to see if they can almost. You know, like when you see
Right.
Tatum dribble the
heat
crap out of the
checks.
ball and like, oh, F it, I'm taking this one. You know, like, it's like, don't. You don't have to. Like, you don't have to prove anything. Like, I guess, you know, every once in a while you just want to prove to yourself I still got it, or that guy pissed me off and I want to beat him off the dribble, and it's a kind of mano-a-mano thing, and it gets the best of you in that moment, the competition of it. But it's like, it's so unnecessary when they play clean and just do what they do. They're virtually unbeatable. It's almost just like either boredom or like, let's try something else, you know, every once in a while, or just that weird regression. I would say any knocks I've always had with Tatum is I felt like he was always fighting himself to go back to the version of him that's less effective and efficient than the one he is now, or he's been becoming. It's like he's fighting his own metamorphosis a little bit. Like, I could be this totally complete player and find everybody and make all the right reads and average 28, 8, and 10, but sometimes I just want to jack it, and like he just gets back and just let it fly, and like he just can't stop. He can't help himself. But you just don't see that as much, and you didn't see it at all tonight. I think he played, like I said, especially in the second half in that fourth quarter, he was perfect.
And one
that'll
turnover.
be the interesting thing. Right.
Yeah.
You know, how much they can fight that this year and beyond, because it'll always be there. That's the way those guys grew up playing. It's their game naturally, the ISO ball and the one-on-one breaking guys down. But they've leveled up so much past that. And I've noticed Noah too. Like, we watched Jalen do all those like reads, passing drills, and practices and shoot-arounds, and it looks like more and more Tatum's getting into some of those, 2-on-2 actions after practice too. So they're drilling this stuff hard. And I know you guys heard his comment about how they're not going into the game saying, "Oh, we got to take this many shots or win this math game." But it is crazy. This is another one, John, where I'm watching and I'm just like, man, the Bucks just can't keep up math-wise with the shot profile the Celtics are developing here. And it wasn't a great shooting night for the Celtics. Shot below 33% from three, but I know Jay King noted they're 6-0 when they do that this year. They just get up so many, and their opponents get up so few, that there just ends up being that massive gap every night. And as close as this game was, you're just watching and saying, oh, I don't know how the Bucks are going to get around this. And it doesn't seem like anyone in the league can do it. Like, maybe one or two teams, and that's why this team's become so inevitable. They win every game because they're just so far ahead in shot profile and in talent.
And I feel like watching Giannis, it was feeling like, okay, they have no answer for him. He's
Why
getting
did
all
he
these
shoot a three
mismatches.
late?
That was ridiculous. But
We
also,
didn't even talk
at the
about
end of the
that,
day, yeah, at the end of the day, he scored 30 points on 25 shots. Like, you'll live with that.
Right.
And, and he's obviously a phenomenal player. He was able to take advantage of a lot of different situations today, but that's not going to be what beats the Celtics in a 7-game series, that type of game. And even
Right.
Dame, like, they both scored 30 today. So that's why I thought this win was so encouraging, because it wasn't like the Bucks just folded. Their two best players had two really good games. Chris Middleton, he'll be even better, I think, as he eases in.
He looked
but
pretty good
He
first
looked,
game
he looked
back.
pretty good, and I thought that he made some big plays. Obviously, the three-point play late, but
Minutes restriction.
yeah, but it's not a good formula to beat the Celtics. It's just not, because if you look at what happened tonight, like, you could replicate that a number of times, and I think the Celtics are going to win most of those matchups.
Yeah, Sherrod, what do you think possessed Giannis with that three there? I guess it was like,
what was the
Got
score?
nothing to lose. Brain fart.
It was a
That was my
three-point game.
first thought. Just
YOLO.
And he's done that again. I don't know if it's the Horford thing. He gets tired banging with him all game, or he settles so much in this matchup this season. He did in the first game. Second game was a little more aggressive. He had the 43, right?
Yeah.
But this one is too many jump shots. I mean, when he's taking a jump shot, you even hear it in the crowd behind you. Everybody's like, ooh, like, thank God.
And a three-pointer especially. I mean, he does this all the time. He does this down the stretch against other teams. When I just flip through League Pass, I'm like, why is he settling for that? It must be a little bit of an energy thing, the same way that someone might not sprint back on defense as fast. Like, it must be just an energy exertion thing or something else. I don't know. But they got a lucky break there, because he was kind of getting everything he wanted to a point, and then I think they went 1 for 15 in their last 15 shots, the Bucks. So, like, they got nothing down the stretch.
Middleton, by the way, I don't have a graphic for it, but the overall numbers, I mean, he was 23 minutes, 2 for 10, 1 of 3 from 3, 11 points, 23 minutes, as we mentioned there. So, again, Rusty, we'll see. I don't think you're going to get, I don't think you even get 75% of old Middleton out of him going forward, and it's not really a big three in Milwaukee. It's those two guys playing your ball, my ball, and that's just how this offense is going to be.
He was pretty good last year.
We'll see.
He was big in the
I will
playoffs. He was their best player.
I will say I am constantly, Jimmy would call it boring, and I get it. I'm constantly amazed by Giannis's ability to play dad ball, and just like he's playing against children, just bully his way to the basket with just such, it almost, sometimes I watch him, I wonder how he doesn't score every time down the floor, because it is impossible to keep him in front of you. It is impossible. I mean, and Horford did a terrific job, as he does there, but holy crap, man, he's just a he's just a force of nature there. And that's who he's going to continue to be. You're just, nothing changes with Giannis.
And he passed Tatum in the MVP ladder this morning that came out, so he's up to 2, leading the league in scoring.
There's a ladder?
NBA.com.
Yeah, the NBA posted it.
I'm surprised those ladders, not to give those too much credibility, but they're really not taking and winning that into account. Normally, I feel like you have to be a top seed to even be up there, and Jokic and Giannis both really aren't. But
Bucks have been winning a lot lately. I mean,
they're a 500 team right now, though, right?
Yeah, they started so bad, and it was interesting hearing Doc before the game be like, people are saying we were in trouble. He was surprised that there was negative talk about that team. And would they start 2-8?
Well, he was saying there's not any negative feeling in our locker room.
Yeah.
But
it's been a weird season for them. I'm such a Giannis guy. I've been such a believer in that team over the years that it's hard for me to quit on them. But man, this is the first time the Celtics have swept them in a season series in years, and they did it decisively, overcoming 2 big deficits. In this game, they were down all game, and they win late again. So it does feel like to some degree that they're past that thing. But if these 2 teams do get into a series, it'll be frustrating. They've had a tough time playing up in Milwaukee, so I still look at this Bucks team and I'm like, they might have the best of any team in the East when you stack it up of actually knocking you off.
Try to look at it objectively. Again,
they're old. That's what you say.
They are. I'm not
looking
at both teams. It's not close in terms of what the Celtics can bring after your first 2. But the idea behind the Giannis Dame pairing is it's going to be the best pairing in the league. And I know every Celtics fan is going to say,
each other.
Bullshit, it's Tatum and Brown, and it might be. But I think when the height of Lillard's powers, the height of Giannis's powers, it's hard to argue that that's not like a ridiculous duo. But at this point, stacking them up against, fine, maybe Giannis inched a little bit ahead of Tatum on the MVP ladder. I think that's bullshit. I think it's Jokic, Tatum right now, and then SGA, honestly. In terms of the MVP rankings, if you're going to talk about him early, I think it'd be silly not to give it to Tatum on this team the way he's playing now if you were going to give it to a non-Jokic candidate. And then you're looking at Brown versus Lillard in terms of your top 2. If your top 2, if it's debatable, if your top 2, you're the Bucks, aren't clearly better than the other team's top 2, like there's almost no chance of winning in a 7-game series, I don't think. Yeah, they'll give them some struggles, but you're right. Older, Middleton, Lopez, we'll see what you have, some bench issues. I think you've got some major, I think Jackson's been great for them in the starting lineup as a spark, but you've got some major spacing issues when he's on the floor as well. It's an imperfect team, and the Celtics are kind of close to a perfect team. So again, I think Milwaukee's always tough, and they play them tough. Sherrod and I were trying to figure out what does that translate to for them?
I think the reality is, though, that where the league is at right now, it's not a league that centers around like having 1 or 2 stars. And I think you're seeing that issue in Denver right now, where they lost that depth. Like in the past, I feel like you could be carried to the finals because you had LeBron, or that was kind of like the cadence of the league. And the Celtics have been a part of changing that. But even if those 2 guys are at their best, which I think they both were tonight, like it's just, I don't know. It's just not enough. It's just not, and I don't know if it's just a Celtics thing. Like if you just look around the league, like having a star or 2 is just not, it's not enough anymore. Maybe there's just no stars that are like LeBron was, but I don't know. I feel like just the dynamics have changed a little bit.
I agree, Noah, because there's such an emphasis on both on the ability to play defense, and playing 2-way, and just having that singularly talented offensive star like a Lillard is can sometimes work against you, but also just what you need from all of your supporting cast, both being able to defend, being able to switch, being able to knock down open shots. It's just you're asking so much more from all the players on the court versus, I guess,
I don't even know how many years ago you'd say the NBA being entirely star-driven league with just 2 players being enough. You're right, it's not. Like, it really, really, really matters. And the Celtics are, I mean, they are stars everywhere, but they also have role players who can do all of it as well, and the Bucks don't.
Facts, my dog.
Facts, dog.
Facts, my dog.
Any other thoughts on today? Let me ask you this. This isn't Noah likes Pritchard, so let's make her squirm a little bit. But, like, why do you think
the pee
Doc
party came to an end?
Well, Doc made a point of it last game, saying, like, I said to these guys, don't let this guy do this stuff to you. Did it look like they paid him a little extra special attention tonight, or is just an off night? It's not the 0 in the box score, it's the 3 field goal attempts.
I'm honestly not sure. I could try to come up with something, but I was a little puzzled watching it in live time. I was confused why he wasn't being more aggressive. Doc was kind of funny post-game. Bobby asked him about it, and he said, pre-game. He said previously I circled his name, and then he scored, I think he scored 18 and 28 versus the Bucks this season. This time I didn't even mention him pre-game, so maybe that'll help us. And then obviously maybe that was the approach. But honestly, I think until I rewatched this game, I don't really know why he was not able to do more, because it felt to me like he was just kind of invisible out there offensively. And it wasn't like, versus Detroit, they were putting a lot of pressure on him. He was the primary ball handler at points, and it did kind of impact him in those first 3 quarters. But maybe he just ran out of steam here, like he's been carrying a big load.
Yeah, a lot of minutes lately. That could be part of it. I mean, I don't feel like he got a ton of touches in this one. This game was a lot about Brown, Tatum attacking matchups, kicking out the shooters, and it wasn't Pritchard open more often than not. I think Horford probably had a lot of shots in this game, right? Hauser was getting ahead in transition, and he ended up with a lot of shots in those situations. And then Jrue actually ended up with the ball a ton in this game compared to how much he usually has it. So I think it's probably just a matchup thing in this game, and where the ball ended up needing to go and who ended up taking those shots. I don't think they shut Pritchard down or anything like that. I just don't think he had the ball a ton in this one. But again, we'll go back and look at that, and he's been so good to this point. I mean, how many games in a row did he have that just blew you away until
That's what
he had
Jrue
one
said post-game.
clunker
Like,
here?
it's been kind of a ridiculous few months. But I also thought that they were just getting good looks. Like, even when they weren't going in, like Derek White had plenty of good looks tonight that he missed everything. So I don't know, maybe part of him, there have been some games where he's kind of bailed them out. Like, when things were broken, he kind of tried to came in and give them a spark. I don't know, it's kind of weird to say that because they obviously didn't make a lot of those shots.
Then you think they flipped the rotation in this one again too, right? Brown starts the whole first, and then Tatum's in for that second stretch. So, that changes things a little bit too, I'm sure. Maybe Tatum's on the ball more with Pritchard out there, and Pritchard's had the ball in his hands a lot this year, and that's what's led to a lot of his success, and they put him in those positions. So we'll see how this goes. I mean, he's going to come back down to earth at some point, John. Not crashing down like this, but it is hard to imagine him averaging like 16, 17 points a game all year on this team.
I think he'll average that.
What
do you think he'll average for this?
Because I think they'll load manage. I think they'll load manage enough.
Oh, the opportunities, yeah.
I think he's going to have a lot of opportunities where he gets to put up 25, 28 points. When he'll go off and be like your first or second scorer because of that. And I just think his bad games now, even in 25 minutes, will be closer to 10 and 12. So I don't think it's crazy, Bobby. I really don't.
Yeah, we'll see. I think he's probably below 15 for the season, or right there 15. Like, again, if he's closer to 20 like it has been, that's going to be a pretty crazy year. And obviously we'll see how the 6-man thing stacks up. He's got such a massive lead on it already that even if he does take a little bit of a dip there, he should be able to get it. But again, we'll see who plays, the opportunity, all of that, right? Because when he does get the ball more, when he does have the opportunity to create his own shot, it's obviously a whole different game for him, and he didn't have that here tonight.
He did not. Other thoughts on tonight, guys, before we move on?
No, none specifically. I mean, I'm bummed these teams don't play again this year. I hope they do get to play. John, you missed our whole Cup discussion. I mean, if they were in the Cup, they might be playing again next week. But instead, we get the Pistons and Wizards. So we'll enjoy that.
I guess I will just add, it's clear from what the guys said post game, both Tatum and Holiday. I think like just the wicket board when they play the Pistons and the Wizards, like there's been a lack of like real star power in this building, and against part of it's just like all the cup games being against Eastern Conference opponents, and a lot of the Eastern Conference opponents are weaker or don't have as many big names, but you could feel that there was extra energy in this building on the Celtics post game, pre game, because Giannis and Dame were here, and there just haven't been that many stars. Like that's kind of part of what's been boring about some of these games is that you're playing against maybe like scrappy, hardworking teams, but like you can't replace the fact that you have like Hall of Famers, All Stars on the other side of the court, and they're going to go out west. They're going to play a lot of great teams over there. I think that'll be rejuvenating as an experience for the fans, for them to play. But you could just feel that there was just a different level of energy, and a big part of that can be attributed to that.
Well, you know what, Doc missed out
can
on
also
that.
be attributed. Go ahead, Bobby.
Doc missed out on the number one way he could have gotten the Bucks a win here. Sit down Giannis, sit down Lloyd right before the game, and then just watch the Celtics relax. Because, I mean, that's been where they've slipped up the most.
Honestly.
And, when it is Giannis, when it is Lloyd, those kind of guys out there, you get this kind of effort. So, I mean, I'm waiting for the next coach to just scratch their stars and see how that goes.
Yeah. There was also some big energy in the building because it was Deuce's 7th birthday. And Noah, who tweeted this on the Jumbotron, got a comment from Jayson Tatum coming in over the top here. Tatum
What's that
it.
emoji?
I can't see.
I don't
I'm
know.
like blind.
A heart.
It's a heart.
Yeah. It's a heart.
It was cute the way it was embraced, and I'm just glad that he likes being famous, because I feel like if I was a kid and they put me on the Jumbotron, I would have been pissed. So I'm glad that he's like into this, because this is his life and he's a celebrity. So
yeah, the Zannis girls didn't mind it.
He got more time on the Jumbotron than Grant.
Yeah, he
Yo.
did.
Damn, Bobby.
That's
Damn.
true.
That
The
is
Grant
weird.
slander will never die.
That is tough.
Are you excited for Marcus night, John?
So we talked about it. I am excited I am nervous as hell that Marcus.
I hope he plays.
Marcus is going to injure 1 to 3 people inadvertently tomorrow, and I'm really big worried about that. But I'm glad he's going to get his due, because I mentioned it earlier. I did go as a spectator to Marcus night last year, and that sucked. Because
why did that suck?
Because he didn't
no
play,
one played.
and no one played. It was the worst.
Oh.
It was the worst starting lineup in history. It was nice to see Marcus get his due, but you wanted to see him out there. It was just a brutal basketball game. So I'm glad. I want to see him play. I think we talked about Holiday and having in the back of his mind, like wanting to show something to the Bucks every time he plays them. Marcus is going to want to show a lot tomorrow. A lot. So I'm really curious what kind of energy he brings.
I'm so excited personally. I think just like I was just saying about the star piece, having him back in the building after so much time and so much anticipation, and Abby asked Tatum about it. He said he's so excited for it. It's good. There's going to be some exciting moment that comes out of it.
Tomorrow. I would have sat KP tomorrow. I'll tell you that. But
So, it will be interesting, because if he plays, there will be an adversarial aspect to it. He's going to be doing things that drive you crazy. Now, if you're a Celtic fan with him on the other side, he will be crashing into guys. There will be, moments that probably make fans pissed. So I am interested to see how that goes. It's been a lot of love for Marcus so far. But he'll be on the other side, and it's not like he's on the other side like with Grant on the Hornets or Brogdon on the Wizards. Like, this Grizzlies team is one of the 6-7 legit contenders when you stack up their offense and defensive productivity this year. They've won a ton of games coming in too, and Ja's obviously back along with most of that team there. So, I mean, this could be a legitimate finals team you're seeing here on the other side. So that makes it all the more intriguing. Like, he'll get a great reaction pregame, but what's the reaction going to be like during and after the game? Because I think it will be a tight one, and Porzingis being there will help a lot in terms of their ability to win it. But it could get tense, John. There could be some distaste for Smart after it.
Yes, my prediction is lots of love to start the game, and Marcus is going to do 1 to 3 things a la Grant that are going to have fans booing him before the night is over.
No way.
Yep.
Maybe there's going to be some sporadic boos, but there are people in this fan base.
No, like a hard foul or something. Yeah.
I don't know. I think that he has this level of like admiration and like that's almost
Smart.
Yeah.
No, he's here to kill them tomorrow.
No, I'm saying the fans. It would take something
To
significant
the fans,
for the
yes.
fans
I'm
to
saying
turn
on
on
the
him.
court. Yeah.
No, but you're saying that the
Maybe.
fans are going to be booing him. I'm saying the fans are going to look the other way if there's something minor.
I
They're not
think
going to look
so.
to latch. Grant Williams was
50% of
hated
fans-
already when he was in Boston.
I think Marcus was a pretty polarizing player when he was
He
here.
was. You had your smart
Yeah.
guys,
When it
and
comes
then
to
you had
shooting
your
the ball.
guys. Yeah.
The shot taking.
Well,
was
I
really
think the
polarizing.
half that already, I think the people that love him today are going to love him tomorrow at the end of the game, pretty much regardless what happens. And the people that hate him today will probably hate him twice as much tomorrow night. But I don't think
like
it's gonna.
him more. Yeah, I like him more not on the Celtics than I did
Okay.
like him on the Celtics. I do, because I love Marcus. I loved the guy because I loved how much he loved being here. Like that matters a lot. Like it's actually what we clamored for Tatum and Brown to say for like a few years. Like, can you tell us you like us too? You know, like, because everyone was like, we love these guys, and they're like, yeah, whatever, St. Louis in the house. You know, it's like, yeah. I mean, now Tatum's starting to really embrace the Boston thing in a way that I think people can feel. I think that's helped him. Marcus embraced it from minute one, and he really did. And so I love that in an athlete. I think that's as important as success is feeling that they feel like this is the only place they'd ever want to play. And Marcus definitely had that about him. And that's why, like, it's a sentimental perspective, you hate seeing a guy like that get traded, because I think he really loved being a Celtic and probably wanted to be here for his career. And I hate that.
And I do like how he's playing this year. That ankle thing, like, that's just going to be part of his career, I guess, from this point on. He just keeps injuring it over and over and over again. I think that's what he hurt last night, right? So it'll be a huge bummer if he can't go. I know the shooting's not great to start this year, but he's still rated as one of the best defenders in the league. He's still, I think, a good fit for that team, you know, the leadership and being able to take the mantle. I watched last night's game. Ja got ejected, and he just took right over on the ball and closed it out for them. So, you know, I still like where he's at as a player. And, again, this could be something, you know, there in May, June, if things go a certain way out west. I'm not a huge fan of that Grizzlies team and some of their inconsistencies, and obviously their health track record has been a disaster. But they are, again, one of the 6-7 teams that could be there for the championship at the end. So that adds to the intrigue here, too. And I guess Tatum's never lost against them.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's another thing that I'm sure will be motivating them.
Yeah, Marcus having a very Marcus season. Shooting's not there yet, but, you know, again, that's who he's always been. And that's who he'll continue to be. So, yes, hope he plays. We'll be back for a Garden Report tomorrow, talking about the Marcus Smart return, hopefully to action. But the Celtics win this one. Again, a good one against the Bucks. What was the final score here? Let's bring it up. 111-105, improved to 19-4, trailing Cleveland at 20-3 for the best record in basketball. As we said, Memphis tomorrow. We will have post-game as always. Also, if you're looking for more basketball talk, and why wouldn't you be, well, you can check out our channel. Bobby and Noah will have some more stuff coming up there a little bit later, but you can click right over and check out the guys on First to the Floor for the Celtics late night show. That is coming right up as well. And those guys are always a good time. I know Jake was here in the chat with a good Spider-Man reference. I like that Green Goblin mask thing for Tatum. But those guys are a good time. Great show. Lots of fun. Super knowledgeable. So why don't you go check them out if you still have a thirst for some basketball talk. Thanks to Bobby and Noah at the Garden. Thanks to Sherrod Blakely. And thanks to all of you guys once again for joining us. As always, pleasure to have you. And we will see you tomorrow. No one's sneaking a vegan brownie by me, I'll tell you that.
Okay, you know what, John? We're going to do it. You have to feel that way too, Bobby.
I have to
Same.
feel that
Same.
way.
Yeah.
Let's slide Al over and make Luke your first center.
Bobby, we gave you Luke hour early. We're not going to end this on a damn conversation about Luke